Hello and welcome all back to Election Time News Canada, your one stop for all things politics and elections. Today is Saturday, April 12th, 2025, and today I'm going to be going over the federal election in Canada, which is essentially now we're halfway between April 1st and the election at this point. So we're getting to the very end of the election season, and so we're seeing these official, coalitions solidify here. We're seeing, generally how things are going to go. The question is, when it comes down to election, is there going to be any last-minute surprises that could change things? As this is going to be the most eventful moment of the entire cycle. Election Time News, your one stop for all things elections or politics, from summations to power reviews and news. Subscribe below for more content like this on American, Canadian, and Australian politics. Remember, there's never a dull moment in politics. Now, on to the video here. We do have ourselves the 338 map, and here we have the poll tracker on CBC News. So, looking recently, again, even not all that not long ago. We do. It'll let me grab. There we go. We do have more continued growth. Not insanely much for the Liberal Party. It has been still leveling out, but as we're really getting towards the end game, this is really looking like it is almost guaranteed to be a win for the Liberal Party. The polling has continually been growing. If you go back to April 2nd, which is basically today being the 12th, of course, means that only April 4th, so we don't actually have any new data from CBC. But the most recent polling data, unfortunately, as of April 4th, that is over a week outdated. But based on that, we still can see, of course, the general trends are definitely favoring the Liberal Party. And even if it's worst case scenario, of course, you can see that the margin of error here is quite outside of overlapping. It hasn't overlapped since the last day of March. So, really not looking too good for the Conservatives by any measure. And, of course, Poilievre is not having a good run so far in the election cycle here. The Liberals may have a majority government based on this, or they could end up underperforming the polls dramatically. So from here, we can see, of course, the election being on, the 28th. That is still a strong 16 days away, which is going to be April -4th, which is going to be March 27th. So we saw 40.2 to 37.3. So even if things immediately just turned around and started going backwards, the Liberals would still be expected to gain 40% of the popular vote, Conservatives 37%, the NDP would go up to 10%, the Bloc 6.5%, the Green Party 3.25%, and the People's Party 2.25%. So, the last time that the Conservatives had a lead was March 18th, and it flipped on the 19th. So a lot has changed even in just the past 2 months. Looking 2 months ago, of course, was right before the Liberals took the lead after a huge lead for the Liberals. They almost even were beaten out by the New Democratic Party. So this would have almost definitely ended up in a coalition of the New Democratic Party, the Liberals, the Bloc, the Green Party, all together against the Conservatives, but they would have most likely still had a majority government. So it would have been determined basically almost entirely on how things went from the actual popular vote. But then, of course, as soon as Trudeau steps down, immediately the polls go up. So if you zoom in on the 28th or so, not the 28th, and it's only week by week going back this far. So 16th, 20%. A week later, it's gone up by 1.5%. So it's very quick. And then, interestingly, the 20th, which is the day that Donald Trump was inaugurated, is actually the highest polling day. Of course, it's based on, I believe it's going to be Mondays. I don't know, but whatever day of the week this is, that was the week that the conservatives were polling the best, just under 45%. That would have been a landslide. And then it just started slowly dropping, and then it basically plummeted at the end of February, and it also completely plummeted here right going into mid-March. And that's when they took the lead, and then now the Liberals have been taking support from the New Democratic Party, as well as the other third parties. The Greens have been dropping down here. The Bloc has been slowly dropping. And the Conservatives are holding strong now. So at this point, it is safe to say the Conservative Party is going to get about 37.5% of the popular vote, plus or minus 2%, when it comes down to election night, unless something else changes. Because we have seen there's half a month left. And for the past month, they have been polling very consistently in that area. Now, usually you'd say, okay, yeah, that's not going to give much, but 38, 40, 36, 37, 40, 37, 39, 40, 37, 36, 39, 40, 38, 36, 35, 36, 37, 39, 40, 38. Every single one of these is from 36 to 41%. Every single one of them. And these are all margins of error under 3%. So, and the sample sizes are all well over 1,000 people. So I think at this point it's basically safe to say the Conservatives are going to get right about 37.5%. The bigger question is going to be the division of the people against the Conservatives here. Now, the People's Party has also dropped a little bit to give what appears to be a little bit of support to the Conservative Party, but these two are the right-wing parties of Canada. And so from that, we can then say, okay, so that's about staying about stable. The question is, where will the support be? Because you see, as the support is raising here for the Liberals, that's right after a drop from the New Democratic Party. New Democratic Party drops again. Green Party drops here. Gain in the Liberals. So the left chunk and the right chunk are staying the same size. People are not changing their opinion as far as that goes, like we did see here. Mainly going to be in February because the New Democratic Party lost way less than the Liberals gained. So that's going to be people changing from the Conservative Party to the Liberal Party. But here, what you're going to be seeing is actually something different. That's going to be the loss of support in the New Democratic Party moving to the Liberal Party. So that's going to be saying, okay, we want... So that's the leftist chunk saying, okay, now Trudeau is gone, so we can now support the more mainstream Liberal Party, the legit Liberal Party, instead of going to the New Democratic Party. So the question is then going to more be on the lines of how much support is there going to be for the Liberals versus these third parties, which are going to divide up the vote in a lot of regions, other than, of course, Quebec, where the Bloc is actually going to be winning a few districts, a few ridings. For example, Abitibi here is likely. We do have Sebastian is the incumbent here. The Mir, I'd say, is probably the last name. That is going to be likely, plus or minus 8%. 97% chance of winning, calculated by 338 as of yesterday. So, been doing pretty well here. The chance of winning hasn't even really been that close. So again, it's not going to be a lot of seats. They're going to definitely lose some, considering the fact that they do have 33 right now, and according to 338's projection, 6% of the popular vote. And actually, I don't know, where's their main projection? I think it's probably going to be on their homepage, which then has, yes, 196, which is actually 4 less than the other day. So now in this projection, the Liberal Party has lost 4. The Greens gained 1, actually, so that's up to 2. The New Democratic Party is at 8, with the tails being 1 to 15. The Greens, the tails are 0 to 3. 17, for the Bloc, the tails are 7 to 26. 120, the tails are 92 to 150. And for the first time in a while, the very end tails here for the Liberals are now underneath the majority government line. So, but it's 196, the tails being 164 to 227. So, the main projection is still 196 seats, which is going to be a drop of 4. I believe it was 200 the other day. And so that is, in fact, going to be, they now dropped down below basically 100%, 89% a majority, and both of these went up by 1. And that has gone, the Conservatives now have a 1% chance. So there's technically a chance that things could flip around. And so they're definitely going to, here's the popular vote projection. It flipped in March, actually. For the vote projection, because you had to have consistent polling gains in order to really be able to say, okay, yeah, it's happening. But right around here was where it flipped, and right around here is where it flipped. So you have this was a little bit of jumping the gun here. There was a chance that there was just a spike at some point, especially with it going this quick. It could have very quickly dropped back down to its levels of about 32%. But alas, it didn't, so they were kind of right in that regard, but they might have been a bit risky to say that as far as that goes. And again, as you can see here, 338 agrees with me, with basically, look at this projection here, right about 38%, plus or minus 4%. Now, here's where the overlap is right here. Right there is going to be 38 plus or minus 4%. That could be up to 42. And then 45 plus or minus 5 could be down to 39. So in theory, it could be 42-39 with the Conservative Party winning the popular vote. But that doesn't mean much, considering, of course, the fact that the Conservatives did win the popular vote last election. So don't forget that as well. So how the ridings are drawn does absolutely impact that. So looking here, it's still looking good for the Liberal Party. A good bit would still have to go wrong in order for them to lose this lead. There's going to need to be more things to go wrong, or potentially strong suits for Poilievre and the Conservative Party. But it is not completely out of reach yet. But the window is absolutely closing, and it is closing fast. Thank you all so much for watching today's overall overview video of the standings and some quick updates. Subscribe below for more content like this. I'm going to be making an in-depth district-by-district Australia video tomorrow. So if you are Australian or just interested in Australian politics, make sure to check that out as well. Thank you all so much again for watching. Have a fantastic rest of your day.